Sometimes the most revealing moments happen when nobody expects them. Not during a big sit-down interview, not during some carefully planned announcement, but in the middle of an ordinary conversation about something completely unrelated. That's exactly what happened on a recent episode of Live with Kelly&Mark, and it's a moment worth slowing down on, because underneath the laughter was something that felt genuinely personal. Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos were sitting across from actor Jim Parsons, talking about his new Broadway role in Titanic, a musical parody built entirely around the songs of Celine Dion. It's the kind of segment that usually stays light, a few jokes, a plug for the show, maybe a funny anecdote. But then Kelly said something that shifted the whole tone of the conversation, almost without meaning to. She started talking about Celine Dion's actual appearance on the show years earlier, back when it was still live with Regis and Kelly. And she remembered something specific, something that clearly stayed with her all this time. Her daughter Lola was just a baby then. And Celine Dion, during that visit, sang directly to her. Kelly didn't tell that story as a piece of trivia. She told it like someone unlocking a memory she hadn't thought about in years, and you could feel the emotional weight underneath it. Then came the line that turned a simple TV anecdote into something people are still talking about. "I am convinced it's because Celine blessed her," Kelly said. "She sang it into her." Now, on the surface that's a cute mom moment. But if you actually sit with it for a second, there's something much deeper going on. Because what Kelly was really doing in that moment wasn't just crediting a celebrity encounter for her daughter's talent. She was tracing a straight line between something that happened when Lola couldn't even talk yet, and who Lola has become as an adult, standing on stages performing her own original music. That's the part that makes this so much more than a cute soundbite. It's a mother watching her child's identity take shape, and reaching all the way back to the earliest possible moment to try to make sense of it. And that's really what this whole story is about if you strip away the headline. It's not about Celine Dion at all. It's about how parents instinctively look for meaning in their children's paths, how we search for the moment something started, even when we know, logically, that talent doesn't usually work that way. Kelly knows that. She's not literally arguing that a lullaby from a superstar rewired her daughter's vocal cords. She's doing something much more human than that. She's expressing wonder. She's expressing pride. And honestly, she's expressing a little bit of disbelief that the baby she remembers holding on that stage is the same young woman now writing and releasing her own songs. That's why so many viewers reacted the way they did. It wasn't really about Celine Dion's supposed magic touch. It was about watching a mother's face soften while she told the story, the kind of moment where you can tell someone isn't performing for the cameras anymore, even though the cameras are still rolling. And that shift matters because it says something about why audiences have stayed loyal to Kelly&Mark for as long as they have. This isn't a couple who only shows up polished and rehearsed. Over the years, viewers have watched them talk about their kids growing up, moving out, going to college, embarrassing them, surprising them, and every time there's this same quality underneath it. It doesn't feel curated. It feels like two parents who are genuinely still processing what it means to watch their children become adults, live on national television, whether they plan to or not. Lola herself has grown into someone with a clear identity of her own, a musician with a soulful, moody sound that critics have compared to artists like Amy Winehouse and SZA. She released her debut EP, Sorry It's All About Me, and performed it live in London where her parents secretly showed up to surprise her. Lola later said she didn't even know they were there until the show was already over, and that she cried when she realized it. Think about what that says about this family dynamic. Kelly&Mark didn't turn Lola's big night into a photo opportunity or a promotional moment. They chose to disappear into the crowd, let their daughter have her own spotlight completely uninterrupted, and only reveal themselves once it was safe to do so without adding pressure. That's not a small detail. That's a parenting choice. It tells you they understand something a lot of famous parents struggle with, knowing when their presence helps and when it's better to simply not be seen at all. And that's part of why the Celine Dion story lands the way it does. It's not an isolated cute anecdote. It's one piece of a much longer, quieter story about how Kelly&Mark have tried to give their children room to become their own people, even while living so much of their lives in public. There's also something worth noticing in the way Jim Parsons responded in that same segment. Instead of brushing off Kelly's comment as a throwaway joke, he leaned into it, pointing out that in the world of Titanic, Celine Dion's character is literally written as having the power to bring people back from the dead. So, sure, why not the power to bless a baby's voice while she's at it? It was playful, but it also validated the emotional logic of what Kelly was saying. Sometimes the stories we tell about our children aren't meant to be taken literally. They're meant to capture a feeling that doesn't have a more precise way of being expressed. That's often how family stories work in general, not just for celebrities. Parents everywhere do exactly what Kelly did in that moment. They take a memory that felt significant at the time and turn it into a kind of quiet mythology. Maybe it's a grandmother's ring, a coincidence at a hospital, a song that was playing during a milestone moment. It's not really about proving cause and effect. It's about giving meaning to the parts of our children's lives we can't fully explain. And maybe that's exactly why this particular story spread the way it did. It wasn't scandalous. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't involve conflict or controversy. It was simply a mother expressing genuine, unguarded amazement at who her daughter turned out to be, and audiences responded to that honesty because it's rare to see, even from people who've spent decades on television. It's worth remembering too that Kelly and Mark have never pretended their family life is flawless or picture-perfect. They've talked openly about awkward moments, disagreements, embarrassing stories their kids have called them out for, and the strange adjustment of watching their children grow up in real time while millions of people watch along with them. That kind of openness is exactly why moments like this one land so differently than a typical celebrity headline. It doesn't feel like a story being managed for public consumption. It feels like something Kelly simply couldn't help sharing because it was still sitting there in her heart. So when people say Kelly made a surprising confession about Lola, maybe the real surprise isn't the Celine Dion detail at all. Maybe the real surprise is how easily this couple continues to let audiences into these small, unfiltered moments of parental wonder, the kind most of us keep to ourselves, but that Kelly almost instinctively puts into words on live television. Perhaps that's the real reason so many people remain invested in Kelly and Mark. It isn't simply because they've spent decades in the spotlight together. It's because audiences keep catching glimpses of something genuine underneath the polish. A real marriage, real parenting, real pride, and real uncertainty about how quickly it all seems to have happened. And maybe that's why a story as small as a mom crediting a pop star for her daughter's singing voice ends up staying with people long after the segment ends, because it isn't really about Celine Dion, or even about Lola's talent. It's about watching a parent try to hold on to the wonder of it all, out loud, in front of everyone. What do you think was really going on in that moment? Do you think Kelly meant it as a joke, or do you think there was something more sincere underneath it? And what's your favorite Kelly and Mark family moment over the years? Let us know in the comments below.